Welcome to Emerging Civil War News. I'm Chris Mackowski, and joining me today from Gettysburg College is Ian Isherwood. Ian, congratulations on your new appointment as director of the Gettysburg Civil War Institute.
Well, thank you so much, Chris. Thanks for having me on, and hello to everybody out there. It's really nice to be on this program. Really nice to talk with you for a few minutes.
Congratulations. So you've been with Gettysburg College for a while, but tell me about your decision to kind of switch into this new role.
So I came to Gettysburg College. Actually, I have a long history with the college. I went to the college in the 1990s, and then I graduated in 2000. I taught here as an adjunct for a little bit when I was doing my PhD, and then when my predecessor and my colleague Peter Carmichael, when he took over as the director of the Civil War Institute, he brought me on as the assistant director from 2012 until 2016. So I came into the Civil War world kind of in a little bit of a roundabout way. My PhD was actually in First World War studies, but then working with Pete and with Jill for 4 years kind of gave me another area to kind of, or another arrow to put in my quiver, I think. So doing that was, it was a phenomenal experience for me. Opened my eyes to the many great things in which the CWI does. And then I went off to a tenure track position here at the college in War and Memory Studies. Most of my work has to do with the way that wars are remembered from kind of a long historical perspective. So I've been doing that at the college, and then I'm very happy and fortunate to be appointed to direct the Civil War Institute.
Now, a lot of people do know you best probably as a guy who looks at World War One, World War Two, and kind of that era. But you've talked in the past about how the Civil War also has these echoes that have really kind of informed the way you've looked at your work in the 20th century and how that 20th century work has informed your work looking at the Civil War. What sort of resonances do you see that really have kind of opened some doors for you?
So that's a great question. I think the way that I would approach it is actually, I'm currently working on a book called Remembering America's Wars that's kind of looking at this, and it starts with the Civil War. And part of the reason it starts with the Civil War is, there are other commemorative experiences of war in American history, but the Civil War really expands upon that notion of commemoration with Civil War veterans, with monuments and memorials, with cemeteries, with just the idea that it's kind of a template for how Americans understand war and how war is remembered from a longer perspective. So one of the things that I like to remind students is that there's a 50-year difference between the Civil War and the First World War, and an awful lot, of course, happens to change kind of the nature, or not the nature, the character of war. But at the same time, there's a lot of Civil War veterans who are around during the Great War, and so they're within living memory. And so just trying to figure out, how much of that kind of Civil War memory is that carried forward into the First World War, is of course carried forward then into the modern era too. I mean, I don't think you can understand American political discourse from a long perspective unless you're actually looking at the Civil War and of course going all the way back to the founding. So, I think that the Civil War is big and it looms large. And for somebody who works in memory studies, this is a very rich place, especially Gettysburg in and of itself, to use it in many ways as a laboratory for students to understand the complexities of historical memory, the complexities of a historical landscape that is not just a Civil War site, right, but is a commemorative site of the Civil War, was also a mobilization camp during the First World War in 1917 and 1918, where thousands of doughboys were training to go and fight abroad. And it's also, it also has a profound connection to the Second World War through Dwight Eisenhower and then the Cold War period through the Eisenhower Farm. So when we look at Gettysburg in and of itself, we are seeing this amazing historical resource and laboratory that we can build upon. So I think a lot of the work that I'm hoping to do with our students and with the phenomenal staff at the CWI of Jill, Ashley, and Triata is to kind of explore some of those big issues. And CWI has been doing that already. So it's kind of great to kind of go and immerse myself back into that world.
And I suppose, in a way, the CWI is one of those ways of remembering the Civil War that you talk about. And so it's sort of like an interactive ongoing remembrance that has evolved over time. You have the chance now to come in and sort of take part in that legacy and extend it forward. How do you feel about that opportunity to be in that living space of commemoration?
Um, I mean, I think that I approach that idea with in many ways great, in many ways in awe. I think when I went to school here, I would often kind of walk or drive through the battlefield, and I was always kind of profoundly in awe that this space actually existed, right? And I've never lost that sense of awe and also that sense of kind of questioning. I'm a very slow runner, and so I run on the battlefield. I walk on the battlefield extensively, and I've never lost that sense of just how special this place actually is. Um, and I'm really, I mean, I think a lot of people feel that way about a commemorative landscape. There's incredible power that comes if you're a historian with immersing yourself in this place. Public historians refer to the power of place, and I deeply believe that that's an important part of what draws people here, and it's what important part of what draws students to the college as well.
Now you're familiar with the CWI, so maybe you're not coming in quite as blank slate as someone might be if they are coming in from outside. But I'm sure there's some sort of learning curve that you're going to have to go through as you take over. What are you looking forward to as the challenges ahead for you?
So the good news is that I have an amazing team. Jill Titus has been at the CWI for a long time. So is Ashley Lusky and Triata, who's our administrative assistant. Like they're a wonderful team that have actually figured out ways to be able to not only offer really impactful student-facing programming, but also to run, the summer conference, the summer Young Historians Camp that we do, big events like the Fortenbaugh Lecture, which happens every November 19th. So the good thing is I'm going in with a really terrific group of people, terrific teammates that kind of help me with the learning curve of coming back in. So I'm profoundly grateful that I'm not starting from scratch here. And this is this is also a place, a college that I know well. So there will be a learning curve. I'm sure that there'll be hiccups along the way. But one of the special things I think about CWI is that, and part of the way that I'm looking at the directorship in and of itself is that you're building upon a legacy of some great historians. I mean, Professor Gabor Boret, he helped make the CWI a kind of a national name and especially with the summer conference. And my colleague Peter Carmichael, I mean, he developed a public history program here and these really impactful, lasting student initiatives. So I mean, both are just dynamic beings who did so much for our college. So part of what I'm hoping to do is to be a good steward to that and to build upon those initiatives with also bringing in kind of some new ideas for our students and for the public in general.
Uh, well, we're getting ready to start a new school year. I know you're right on the verge of getting going, so I want to wish you luck with that,
Thank
as
you.
well as your new position as you get going and look forward ahead. Folks are very excited about this appointment, and I want to offer you my congratulations.
Well, thank you so much, Chris, and thank you for everybody for watching. I'm really looking forward to this, and I'm looking forward to doing some really great work through the CWI. So thank you so much for having me on.
Thanks for being with us, Ian. I'm Chris Mackowski for Emerging Civil War. We'll see you online and on the battlefield.